Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shenanigans Show. I know I'm rarely in black, but today I felt like wearing the Spirit jerseys from Disneyland, so here we are. Also, sorry for the not so great lighting. I had to record without natural lighting today, so I'm using the light that I can get access to and trying to boost it up so it looks decent and that the lighting looks decent and not weird. I'm doing my best. So this is the Book Lover Would You Rather book tag, and this was inspired by one of the bookish quizzes videos I did, where I did the hard Book Lovers Would You Rather quiz, and I'll try to link that video down below in the description. But because I did that and it wasn't that hard for me, I wanted to try another type of Would You Rather bookish lover book lover edition video. That's where this came from. I tried to look up some Would You Rather questions for book lovers, came upon a blog that had a bunch of Would You Rather prompts. That's what we're doing today. The questions, the prompts are down below in the description, and then underneath that is the original link to the blog post where I got the prompts from, if you want to check it out. I'll repeat this at the end of the video, but if you want to answer these questions in your own video or in the comments below, please feel free to do so. I would love to know your answers. With that said, let's get into these Would You Rather book lover prompts. The first prompt is, would you rather have a friend who loses or dog ears your books? I would rather have my friend lose the book and then replace it, buy me a new book, than dog ear, because I am under the belief that you should return a book in the condition it was given to you. You should try to return it in the best condition possible, and I say in the condition it was given to you because sometimes it is going to be a little bit beat up when it's given to you. That's always a possibility that it's not in perfect condition when it's originally given to you, which is why I think you should return it in the condition given, because if it's not perfect, you shouldn't make it worse. You shouldn't make the condition worse than what it is. And that's why I'm like, you should return it in the condition that it's given to you, and if you end up making it worse, doing some damage, talk it out with your friend, or losing it in the case of this prompt. Talk it through with the person, and if they ask that you buy them a new book, buy them a new book. If they say it's not a big deal, then it's not a big deal. But getting back to the point, as I said, I would prefer that they lose it than dog-ear it, because because that's not your book. If you like dog-earing the pages of your books, that's totally fine, go for it. I've dog-eared my books in the past, but you should not be dog-earing another person's books. The next prompt is, would you rather secretly love a book everyone hates or secretly hate a book everyone loves? Now, I usually don't go about the whole secretly doing one or the other in the bookish community. If I don't like a book, then I'll say it. Depending, I might not say it on social media, but I'm not gonna be so secret about it. I'll talk about it with my friends, with family, I'll talk about whether or not I did or didn't like a book. It's not a matter of secretly, it's just whether or not I'll talk about it on social media. I could see myself being okay with either, because it's everyone has their own tastes, but my gut instinct is to be secretly love a book everyone hates, basically under the impression that I'm not going to talk about it on social media. I don't know, that's kind of a hard question. Hard would you rather book lover prompt. The third prompt is, would you rather be caught on a very long plane ride or a very long train ride without a book? I honestly would not be able to read a book on either unless it's an audiobook, just because I get motion sick, but I would probably have to go with being on a very long train ride without a book, because I can easily distract myself with the scenery. I think I would be okay on a very long train ride without a book. I have been on very long plane rides on very long flights before without a book, and I've done okay, so I would be okay in either situation without a book. Fourth prompt is, would you rather have dinner with your favorite author or your favorite character? Honestly, I wish I could say both. There are a lot of characters that I like that I can 100% see myself not really getting along with well, or being ready to just not talk to them at all. Whereas with some of my favorite authors, I would just love to talk to them. Ideally, I would love to have dinner with my favorite character, but I'm gonna go with author because I can ask them questions, about the writing process and their storyboarding process, and get to know what inspires them and talk to them, Whereas I feel not that there's a limited amount of things that you can talk about with your favorite characters, but I honestly think that there isn't as much you can talk about with your favorite character, and there's so much more you can talk about with your favorite author. The next prompt is, would you rather date a character you have a crush on or date your real life crush? This is another hard prompt just because it's like, I can see myself getting along with, it's one of those things where in your head with your crushes, whether real life or fictional, you can see yourself getting along with them, but that's not really how relationships work. It's like not gonna be all sunshine and butterflies and rainbows. I would probably date my real life crush. Rather, I don't really have a specific crush right now, at least out of anyone that I know personally. I have celebrity crushes, but I would probably date a real life crush rather than a character I have a crush on. I feel like it would be easier to date a real life crush than a character crush because I don't know. It really depends on the book. The next prompt is, would you rather have your favorite book turned into a movie or your favorite movie turned into a book? Most of the movie adaptations of my favorite books, specifically Lord of the Rings, I've been okay with, except for Rings of Power, but we're not talking about that. And most of the book adaptations of movies, like the Disney Twisted Tales series, I've also been okay with. So I would be fine with either. I don't know if I really have an opinion on this one, just because it's like, I've been okay with most adaptations going either way. I'm just gonna move on to the next prompt because honestly I'm not sure which one I would rather have. Would you rather read a book with an annoying cliffhanger or one where your favorite character is killed off? For like the cliffhanger, it really depends on if the book is a series or not, because it's like, if it's a series, then I would rather read the annoying cliffhanger book than have my favorite character killed off, just because it's like, in the next book that cliffhanger can be resolved. No matter how annoying it is, it can be resolved in the next book. But if it's a standalone, I would much prefer to have my favorite character killed off, because at least that way we can mourn the character and it's not gonna get too crazy and we can have a solid ending. Like, that's my big thing, for me at least, where it's like, I need something to wrap up nicely and in a good way. It doesn't have to be like happy or sweet or anything, but as long as it's wrapped up well, that's what I need. And if it's a standalone with an annoying cliffhanger, I can't do that. It really depends on what the situation is, what kind of book we're looking at. The next prompt is, would you rather lose the ability to read any new books or lose the ability to reread books you've read? In this case, I would rather lose the ability to reread books I've read, because this is under the assumption, I think at least, under the assumption that you're rereading in the entirety. I could always go back to like look at certain sections. Well, that might be cheating actually, so never mind. Still, I would rather lose the ability to reread books I've read, because I can always try to find other books that make me feel the way my favorites did. As much as I love my favorite books, as much as I love rereading The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, I can always find books that make me feel like that again. It might take a while, but I can always find books that make me feel like my favorite books make me feel. The next prompt is, would you rather live in a library or a bookstore? And for this, another assumption with this prompt is that if you're living in a bookstore, you don't have to buy the books, you can just read them. Either way, it's like a win-win situation of living in a library or a bookstore, because you have all the books accessible. The only thing is that with a bookstore, like with all the other little things that they have, you can't really like open up the games, like you can't open the packaging in case someone else wants to buy it, you know? And in that case, you would have to buy it because of the policy, like, oh, you buy what you break, you know, you buy what you open. But you wouldn't have to like buy the books, you know, because you'd be living in the bookstore and you could just read them as long as you don't damage them. But honestly, I would probably say live in a library, because again, under the premise that you can utilize all of the things that the library has to offer, and that includes like games and maybe movies and records. Whereas with a bookstore, a lot of the other stuff that they sell, like at Barnes & Noble, they have like a stationery section and notebooks and stuff and pens. You can't like open that without buying it. The next prompt is, would you rather lose your place in a book or get a paper cut every time you read a book? Again, I feel like I need more context for the paper cut. Now, are you getting a paper cut every time you turn a page? Because then that would be super annoying. Paper cuts are just annoying in general. Or are you getting a paper cut just every time you pick up a book? Because again, annoying. But one I feel is less annoying. I feel like if you're getting a paper cut every time you read a book is slightly less annoying than getting a paper cut every time you turn the page. So I need a little bit more context, but either way, I'm gonna choose losing my place in a book because I feel like it would be easy based on what I was reading to kind of get back to where I was roughly. Next prompt is, would you rather have to always read in the dark or always have to read books with tiny text? I honestly would prefer to always read in the dark because again, context here. This is under the implication that you can use like a small book light, but you're still in the dark because lights are off. You don't have any available, well, the dark meaning you don't have any available light. So if we're under the context of just in the dark, but you can use like a little book light, then I would say read in the dark. But no available light, which I think is the context here, the assumed context, I would say always have to read books with tiny text because there's nothing saying, again, I need context. There's nothing saying you can't use a magnifying glass of some sort, and they have those little things like book magnifying glasses that you can buy on Amazon and like other places too. So that's where I'm going with this. And then the last prompt is, would you rather read by the fireplace or on the beach? I love reading on the beach. I do it a lot. If I'm being forced to choose, I would say by the fireplace because as much as I love reading on the beach, the light makes the pages so bright sometimes that it's like just so hard to concentrate sometimes. I love reading on the beach. Choosing between the beach and the fireplace, I would choose the fireplace. Again, if you want to do this tag, you can do your own video or answer the prompts in a comment down below or in multiple comments depending on how you want to do it. But please do this. I would love to know what other people would say to these prompts. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.